Boom, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Graders Notes, y'all. That's right, your favorite every other week, bi-weekly, Thursday night program where we're diving deep. This isn't a show of showing hauls of a bunch of books. It's one book, and we obsess over the damn thing for an hour and change. That's what Graders Notes is. So, a nice change of pace. I love a good haul video, but I'm just saying, this is hone in on an issue, but it's not just me. It's the stellar panel, the best minds in the biz. Join me on this program. First up, I'm just gonna bring in the big dog right off the bat. Okay, he's just got himself cleaned up for the show. He knew it was Graders Notes, so he had to make sure he got all presentable for us, and we appreciate it. We're talking about the man, Mr. Metarog. What's up, my clean cut brother?
Well, Kenny, you hit it on the nose, man. I knew that the fortnight was coming up, and no matter what the obstacles, both the red tape had to be cut, and so did the the follicles, because it was so long, it was getting into my ear, and I wanted to make sure that I heard everybody correctly. I didn't want any foliage being interrupting the ear canals. So yes, I am here. I am ready. I am now about 10 pounds lighter, so I'm pumped.
Very thoughtful, absolutely. Gotta love it. And shoot, the next up, the Renaissance man of the crew, does a little bit of everything. Master of standing brooms up in place. Gino presents. What's up, my brother?
Not much. Just call me Hone in the Barbarian. Look at that. You gave me a nice little setup there. So, hello, welcome to my astute colleagues, and welcome to the greatest chat on the internet. Great to see everyone tonight. Looking very forward to our bi-weekly show here. Yeah. And we got a great book to go over, so looking forward to it, my friends.
Yep, that's right. And last but not least, the man who's not only just north of us here in the USA, he's about to be just north of 1,000 subscribers, if you ask me. Seems like he's on the precipice, well deserved. It's our brother from another country, Dave, Mr. Miracle. What's up, man?
Hey guys, well, that's a fantastic introduction. I'm impressed with that. Really looking forward. I think this book is really poignant. Judge Dredd, look into the future, the 22nd century, year 2100, I believe, is what they mentioned in the book, right? Yeah. See where the future is going to take us, and in our science fiction, themed sort of dystopian take on it. Feeling good. Had some interesting things to say about this book, I'm sure, as you guys do. So yeah, looking forward. Let's get into it now.
Absolutely. And we're just going to take some quick attendance and get right into it. First in was the immortal Biggie Shack. Appreciate you, brother. YouTube. He says YouTube used to be 90. I say YouTube still is 90, brother, in my book. Funk Comics, Funkadelic in the house, RWO, representing the NWO also. Magic Lasso in the house. Always comes in with a splash. Appreciate seeing you, bud. Mark Knapp, everyone's favorite metalhead from the community. Appreciate you, man. Comic Mag Musings, faithful viewer of the show. Always good to see you, sir. Alumni, part of the crew. Unruly Simeon, everyone's favorite pitch hitter. Thanks, bud. Pew Pew Two Gun Pedro. Omega Comics. Good to see you. Represent that Stan the Man icon. Can my thing scroll? We'll see. I might have missed some because My scroll was uncooperative, but Stone Cold Steve Whiting's in the house. Scott, 424 in the house. House till the end. Appreciate you. You know, you guys are going to make up the chat grade, which is really a key component to the program. And if I missed you, I apologize. I have an unruly chat thing. But we're good. Thank you.
Do you guys pop your chat out? I have the hardest. It gets so wonky when I do that. I don't know. I usually don't even do it anymore.
I don't. You know what? Real quick, I just got to grab this. Why don't one of you tell the wonderful viewers about the book we're doing today?
Well, it was Kenny's book.
Exactly.
Well, I don't have. Thank you. I don't have a copy, so you'll have to go with my esteemed colleagues to get it. But we're talking about Judge Dredd #1 from 1983, as I recall.
That's right.
Brian Boland's special coming right at you. Who did the writing in this book? I forget. I don't have it on me.
John Wagner.
John Wagner, another British writer. Yeah, interesting take. These are reprints from the British comic magazine.
Right.
And, you know, it's cool. There's 3 different stories in here. So there's going to be, you almost have to have 3 story grades, right? Like 3 little storyettes in here and stuff. So I thought it was a good pick, right? Because it's a little bit different than what we're normally doing with like a full 32-page cohesive story, right? We've got a bunch of shorter stories in here, and I guess I shouldn't throw comic books around like that.
It's basically a book of vignettes. I like that, but tastefully done.
But
Each are fully fleshed.
And they are reprints from Judge Dredd's first appearance, which was a comic magazine called 2000 AD, which was published in 1979, I want to say. And they were reprinted in here and brought to America. This is technically Judge Dredd's first comic book appearance, because this is the first time he was in like an American format comic book, but not his true first, as in like the UK comics more often than not came in a magazine, like Transformers and G.I. Joe and such were larger books, right? Whereas in America they were always this size, right?
Yeah, buddy. Well said.
Yep, absolutely.
Well said. That's the book, Judge Dredd. Who's got? So I saw Miracle has a floppy. We got
This is the weak side over here.
Yeah,
Digital Boy.
This is the digital age on the right here.
Yeah, no, I understand. I feel your pain.
I meant to. I wasn't finding too many of the $16 deals, so I was like, I better just hold off until I get the one I want. If I'm going to spend $16 or $20 on it, I'm going to get the grade I want. You know,
right?
Yeah,
aspiration.
Yeah, I couldn't find a decent copy either. So
yeah,
I called my comic book shop. They said they had one. I couldn't find it. So
I couldn't find it.
Well,
they've been judged inferior.
Not a really expensive book. I think I had this book in one of my spec videos from about a year and a half ago, and I know I paid $5. I think I said in the video for this one. So the price has gone up a little bit, but not crazy. It's a totally obtainable book. Like I said, technically it's Judge Dredd's first comic book appearance.
That's right. First like American comic appearance.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we're gonna go through it. Welcome to Super Russ 9000. Not to leave out Big C3 Comics, comic family indeed, and the ever knowledgeable Gore Vidal, who's just letting us know 2008 began in 1977, and the stories in Judge Dredd 1 were from around 79 or 80. He read it in 83 when it came out.
yeah. Sounds great.
Perfect. So, as you know, we're going to grade the cover, the story inside, the writing, the interior art, and the concept of the book on a grade of 1 through 5. And once we do, we're going to kick it to you, the chat, to put in your grade of 1 through 5, get a chat aggregate, and see what the people say. So, in overall, we do an overall grade thing.
Yeah.
So let's get right to it. If I may, I'm going to kick it off on the cover, guys. Okay.
You go, brother.
It's your turn. You do what you want, buddy.
Yeah, I'm calling the shots today.
You got it.
Boom! I'm putting the Raiders nothing up there. So cover. The man. Let me tell you something about Brian Boland. He is one of my favorite artists. I wish there was. Well, I mean, this is a good chunk, but I just wish there was more of him out there because he does a fantastic job on everything he does. In my opinion, he's got this great, like, realistic style. There's certain artists that are really good at nailing a realistic look, but still having like that comic book feel. And he does that. He has the perfect mesh of comic book art and realism. And just the figures. So we'll start with the figures on the cover. Love that Judge Dredd image. I mean, stoic, badass. Am I flawlessly drawn? I can't find any flaws in that drawing of Judge Dredd. The detail's perfect, the stance, the whole nine. This thug that he's apprehended, flawlessly drawn in my opinion, again, perfectly rendered. Look at those hands. Oh my God, his command of hands is nuts. And then just the overall image, striking. You're going to want to pick this book up when you see it. It also just conveys the message of the book really well. This is all you need to know. Judge Dredd is the law, and you better believe it. Really well done, really unique. The only, if I'm going to criticize it, I like the bold red background. I like the logo. There's not much to complain about. If I was to nitpick one thing, the word law on there is stretched out too much for me. And I don't know, for some reason it irks me. They should have condensed the word law a little bit and made the other white text bigger because it looks too stretched out. That's just a personal nitpick. It doesn't read that well to me. So, shoot. Again, I play it as a game of, I'm not trying to find things to add the points up to 5. I'm starting at 5 and I'm just going to deduct, And with that being said, that's my only deduction. I think this is a layout, colors, rendering. It's all top shelf to me. I got that one gripe. And that's why I'm going to give it a 4.5. I love this cover. Love it. Love it. Love it. Strong grade out the gate.
Tell us how you really feel, Kenny.
Just the introvert Kenny he's got to come out of that shell some point.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Hey, Better Ray. Hey, Just a Rican. Well, I guess I get to pick who goes next. And, it seems to me that Mr. Miracle's chomping at the bit on this book. So I'm going to let him chomp away, brother, and give him the stage with his thoughts on the cover.
All right. So this cover, like I said, or like you said, Brian Boland, like when it comes to Boland stuff, I'm a big fan too. I mean, especially covers, iconic covers. Everybody knows the cover of The Killing Joke, right? That's a Brian Boland cover, right? And this is some of his earlier stuff. Judge Dredd is rendered real well, right? I like him. Gives you even a sense of like, this guy is, kicking ass and taking names. He's real stoic about it. He's not going to listen to your, pleas for mercy if they're going to fall on deaf ears on that guy's face. The problem I have with this cover, great. Here with the Judge Dredd, not so great that he takes up like, more than half of the cover with this writing. I want more Boland cover on here. I want a nice big centralized. Yeah, it's good. The colors, draw your idea to it. Judge Dredd, I am the law. But I mean, you could have put that smaller and given me more Boland on here, right? Like, not better. This is done very well. Anatomy's great. The pose is great. you can obviously see like Dredd has knocked that guy out and he's unconscious and just, waiting to go to jail. This cover story, this static cover, tells a whole story in itself, right? This really, I think, disappointing. It does draw your attention, right? If you're looking on the comic rack, this bright orange with the yellow and everything with the blue is very striking. But yeah, I'd like more. I want to see like this is like a #1. This is his premiere into the American comic world, right? Like he'd only been published in that UK magazine, getting pretty well known in the UK. This was his first kick of the can, really, to impress American comic publishers and get a job that actually pays a lot more money in the States than it does in the UK. And they kind of cut half his work off there, right? I would have really liked to see him, seen him do something crazy, right? Because Bolin can do it. And like I said, covers are his thing. So given that, yes, I really, really liked the Judge Dredd and the villain on here. No, I really, really don't particularly like the treatment, and I don't like how much of that space is taken up by it. So I gave the cover a 3.5 just for that, right? The colors are great. I guess they're not great. They're striking, but they're a little bit even off-putting. But yeah, the Judge Dredd is good. The villain is good. I like that cover tells a story in itself. I don't like that it seems to me like it was cut in half. So 3.5 for that one.
Oh, there you have it. I didn't find the layout as dynamic as I did. Which is a very fair point. Half Bolin is not as good as 100% Bolin. I get it, man. Next up, we're going to kick it. We're going to go this way to Mr. Roger.
Oh.
I'm on the edge of my seat to find out what you think of this cover, sir. Let us have it.
Kenny, you want to go half these with me so you can show the cover while I talk?
Oh, sure.
Although it's going to be kind of on the brief side.
Okay.
I think you guys have pretty much sucked the marrow out of this bone, but I do agree with Kenny that the right side there, the Bolin, the Judge Dredd there with that scorn, the smoking gun, the pool of blood on the floor. I thought, I wasn't sure if that was a mutant or what with the filed teeth, but you can tell obviously like he has got the S&M kind of cross there, cross of leather, and that gun, which obviously he's either been dispatched or he's in big time hurt. I think that is a brilliant picture that he is painting, so to speak, and it also relates to one of the 3 stories, right? Flawless. As far as I'm concerned, that is, Kenny, that's a 5, buddy. That is, like you said, the anatomy, the impact, all that. That's the good part. However, the left side, not a fan. Not a fan at all. I think, right, that this, I know what you did, Kenny. You started at the apex and you went down, right? But what I did is I'm looking at the cover and its potential. If he could have used that other part and perhaps done another part of the story, like a vignette, or he could have expanded it and looked, hey, this is a dystopian future. Let's put some kind of, those cool bikes they have, or, some scene where that garbage is in the back and you see all these glaring lights to give you some kind of idea of what era this is from. So there's a lot left on the table here. And what Mr. Miracle was saying, I like the law thing, but man, it's almost like too glary at you. It's like, yeah, okay, we know Judge Dredd he is the law, but it's like pounding you over the head with it. They could have made that maybe a transparency and put another little scene back there. They left a lot on the table. If it was just if they had just used that right, Bolin, by the way, brilliant cover artist. His Wonder Woman, his Killing Joke. Come on, we all know this guy's a master, right? Not a fan of the left side of the cover at all. So Mr. Miracle, I think you are pretty much right on the nose. 3.5. I almost gave it a 3, but boy, that is so good on the right that it just, I also just ignored that stuff on the left and just go to stuff on the right with that, that villain, and he's got it by the vest, smoking gun. Beautiful. 3.5.
Okay. There you have it. We have similar takes from Miracle and Roger. They're not feeling all that text on the side. They want more art. Let's see where Genome falls. Does Genome think, just give me more art, man? Don't overthink it? What do you think there's some stylism to this? Is this, is that unique enough to make it pop off the shelf, and he tried to take some risks?
Let's see. Can you share? You want to share the screen, or you just want to keep holding that up?
We can.
I don't know if that's going to mess your stream up, though. It has for me in the past.
From you. Why don't we? Oh no! Shit.
Can you take that?
I do, but I'm not going to.
You can take it, dude. I'll just talk. Everyone's seen this cover now. For the most part, maybe Dave can hold it up every now and then, or whatever, if he wants to. But
I'm going to do one of these. I'll do the same deal. I'll be happy to.
Oh, okay. I'll try to make it fast. I know you can take that call. So,
no, you're fine.
A lot of salient points my fellow co-host made here. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, spoiler alert, this is my weakest score of the book by far. I'm going to give it a 2.5. Let me tell you why. Dredd looks amazing. The filed teeth guy looks even better. My favorite part of this cover is his arms. I mean, look how perfectly he gets like just a little bit of slackness in the fingers at the end and the forearms of this filed tooth guy down here, just laying across his thighs. Oh, it's perfect. Freaking love it. It's maybe a little heavily over inked right there in the midsection area, but other than that, just looks amazing. I love how they have his legs blacked out. It's very good use of shadowing. The gun that's on the floor is a little bit large. It looks nice, but it's perspective wise, it's enormous. This gun is like, it's gonna take 3 hands to hold that thing. But it's all right. So yeah, I don't like Dredd's green gloves. That's throughout the whole thing. She just made them blue or black or something. I don't like that green at all. Kind of off-putting. But okay, enough of the color scheme. Get rid of that trade dress. Get rid of all that writing that's on there. I don't even like the font that Judge Dredd's in. It looks so goofy. It's like on a horror mag or something. It does not belong. Either give it a background, that dystopian, even a real muted one, or take everything off of there except for Dredd and Filed Tooth, and put maybe number 1 in the corner, just like a little black slash or something. Nothing else. I don't even want to see a title on there because that color will draw your eye. You don't need everything else there. So writing takes away from it. Everything else, what you do see there looks great, but the main character shouldn't be a third of a cover, and 2/3 of the cover should not be trade dress and writing like that. So I'm gonna give it 2.5. So what we do see is pretty amazing, but I'm just not a huge fan of the color scheme. And I don't know, there needs to be something, either something back there or nothing back there, I think, and just get rid of all that writing. So 2.5.
Well, all right. Interesting. It looks like I'm in the minority. I love the text. I think it's so unique. Bold choice, just as an overall image. Wow. Love it. So, you've heard from the panel. What say you, chat? I'm actually really curious to see where the chat falls. Because we had a 4-5. I'm just slobbering on the thing. 3.5 from the gentleman on the bottom, and a 2.5 from Genome. All made great astute points, just from different vantages. So, chat, let me know where your vote falls so we can, aggregate your numbers.
Boy, we got some diverse opinions in the chat here.
Yeah.
They're going back and forth too fast.
Whew. Yeah, I guess this is one of those where you're either in one camp or another.
I'll tell you one thing it does, though, and it draws your eye. So it does probably the most important thing, regardless of how good the art is or not. It does draw the eye of the book on the stand. It stands out. So it does that very well.
That law, I tell you, it's like a beacon. It's like
and that orange background, the orange and red background. Yeah, it just is.
Yeah, it is like, I think it was Lasso that says it looks like a promo poster you'd see hanging in the comic store window. That's true.
That nailed it right there.
Yeah.
I do like the font for Judge Dredd. I do like Judge Dredd's logo, right? That logo.
Yep.
I like the font. I like the shield in there. Don't like the rest. I think they really could have taken this, shrunk this down, gotten rid of this law, put it in some sort of subtext lower, given me more bull and like Metarog was saying, give me the law cycle that he's got there. The what is it called? The Bushmaster or the Lawmaster? Lawmaster.
Yeah, Lawmaster. Yeah.
Give me a good
So they want everything. You hear these guys? They want the bike. They want the dystopian future. They want this, and that. They don't want to save anything for the inside. They want it all on the cover.
We're very needy graders.
They want the villain on the cover.
But even like having that bike there, even if you put this over top of that bike, it would have just filled in that orange a bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, you could have had it, kind of transparent and have that bike coming out from an angle. And having the judge. I mean,
I would have liked to see
more. It's not that I didn't like it. I wanted more.
See, I would have liked to see a trail of corpses back there too. I think that would have worked out well.
Of course, the horror guy wants the corpses. All right.
That lets you really know how badass he is, right? So.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we're ready. We got a good amount of votes here, guys.
All right. Let's see it.
All right. You ready with the famous Comic Head 84 abacus?
Indeed.
All right, here we go. Well, I'm not going to even say who it is or nothing. We'll just go with the gray so we don't confuse anything. 5, 3.5, 3.5, 5, 2.5, 4.5, 5, 2. Rob, come on. I guess that's a 5. 4, 4.5, 5, I guess. I don't know if that 6 is on a 10 scale or on a whatever, but I'll give it a 5. 3.5, 3.5, 2.5. I think Gore already voted up here. Hold on, let me double check that. Okay, and add another 5.
Okay, and you got Biggie and Run the Comics there on the bottom.
Yeah, 3 and 3. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
3.
It looks like we have another 4.5 just came in too from C3. So unless you already counted him.
C3. Let me double check. I do not have them, so you can add another 4 or 5.
Okay. Looks like we got a chat grade of a 4.
4. Okay. Okay.
Decent chat grade. That's lots of high marks there.
Yeah. They probably, it seemed to me, like agreed a little more with Kenny. I don't think they had as much of an issue with that text that we did. So good going, Kenny.
Yeah.
Well, on the positive side for the text, it does really stand out. It's really bold. Like if you're looking to catch someone's eye, that will help you.
Yeah, true enough.
I just think that the Judge Dredd font should have been bolder and stronger and more squared off. I don't see that as like the wavy. Yeah, I don't like that font at all.
Too mushy.
Yeah.
Too mushy.
That's the font they used in the 2000 AD appearance as well.
There you have it.
Yes, guys, we nitpick. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
We nitpick, okay? It's a good cover, but we nitpick it, all right?
It's a good thing you have a timer.
Yeah.
Yep. Nitpicking is our forte here. Now, I'm going to kick it right into, we're going to take a little break from the art, and we're going to get into the story, the writing. And I'm going to start with who went second last time. The man from the Great White North, Mr. Miracle. You got 3 little, like you said, you got kind of 3 little mini stories to chew on here. And let's see what you think, man. Floor is yours.
All right, so these are reprinted stories from the original AD comic. like comic magazine. So that being said, there's 3 little stories. The first one is the longest one. It has sort of this zombie Judge Dredd, and the zombies coming to kill everybody on the planet, and Judge Dredd's got to think about it and figure out, how do I stop the unstoppable undead guy? I like certain parts of the story. I like the fact that Judge Dredd had to think his way through this one, right? Although I don't think it wasn't Dredd that really thought of the way to get it, but you saw him thinking outside the box. Like he seemed a little smarter than what it was portrayed in the movies, as Judge Dredd kind of did, especially the Sylvester Stallone version. He did have the attitude, was kind of established here, where he's kind of pissed off at another judge for being really, pleasant and flighty, and he kind of gets annoyed by that. You could tell. So you could tell he's very stoic. Like he's got that British stoicism in him, right? And he goes on, but it's kind of a half ghost story, kind of zombie story thing there. And then the next story I thought was better, right? I had a few problems with that last story. It seemed like, one, Dredd was not the hero of that story, which is always a problem, right? Don't ever make another character the hero of your hero story. Like that was one of the biggest problems with Superman 3, is that Superman wasn't the star of that story. Well, in this thing, Dredd's not the hero. He tries, I guess, but in the end, he's not the hero. But it does give a little bit of insight into the judges. In the second story, it's okay. It's kind of weird. It gives more of an idea into the culture around what's happening in Mega City. And Mega City is supposed to have 800 million people living in it, right? Like they're like buildings that are massive cities in themselves, right? Called like these mega cities that hold millions of people inside like one big building and stuff like that. And so it kind of gives that that's good. It does give Dredd a more sense of being a detective as well, not just an enforcer, because he's like, this doesn't make sense. I need to investigate further. And he's the hero of this one that kind of figures everything out. Although I thought it was kind of low-hanging fruit and pretty obvious once he did figure it out, it was kind of an obvious deal that was going to happen. But at least it kind of showed that Dredd was a thinking man, right? That he's not just out on the street just shooting people willy-nilly. And then the last story was my favorite story. And it's just basically Dredd against these punks. And these punks have set up their own court and are calling themselves judges. And, Dredd takes exception to that, right? And comes down there. And
Gobble.
Okay. I'm getting to it. So, he basically goes down there, and it's just like, he just boots the hell out of these guys. Takes all of their, takes them all into custody, and basically really screws them over in the end, right? To his judge, and just to make an example out of them, right? That's the kind of person. He didn't get pleasure from it. He wasn't laughing about it while he did it, but he really screwed these guys over much more than putting them in prison, right? He did something awful to them, sent them out into the Badlands with nothing. You're not allowed to come back to the city for 10 years. So they were all freaking out. So that one showed it was good. So the stories I thought were varying. I gave it a 1.5 for the zombie story. Didn't care for it very much at all. I gave it a 3.5 for the next story, the one with the frozen people, and then 4.5 for that last story, because I really thought it showcased Dredd as a character very well, and his stoicism, and just like the no mercy that he has, right? Like, criminals must be punished. I am the law. So given that all kind of mishmashed into an aggregate score, or mean, we would say a 3.0 for the story. Sorry that took so long, but there's 3 stories there that you got to talk about. You'll see.
You will see indeed. 3.0 from Miracle. Well done, sir. Well done. Next up at the plate, the always comprehensive, the always thoughtful Roger.
Wow. Yeah. 3 stories indeed. And they were, like Mr. Miracle said, they were kind of different, very different. But I have a different, totally different take on them than Miracle. I thought story number 1 was by far the better story. It was a little more involved, but it's a foe that he has, it's undefeatable essentially. If you destroy the body, he just goes into another, and so on and so forth. And his objective is to destroy all life. So the stakes are high, and it kind of had almost like a 50s horror vibe to it, both in the writing and the tempo, and the solution was, I thought, heroic and clever. So I thought that was the strongest story. I thought that was the 4.5, right? The middle story I thought was ridiculous, absolutely insanely ridiculous. It makes no sense to me that, you can have people that are dying and frozen, or somehow cryogenically so, right? But to deny somebody dying and keeping them alive so that they can later once you repair them, have a life sentence, doesn't make any sense. The resources that you're using there for 800 million people, it makes no sense to me. It's overkill. It's not justice at all, in my opinion. It's just wicked bullyism, and it just didn't make any sense to me. I understand that they need to make examples, but that was beyond the pale. The last one was a average story. It's one man versus the horde, and he made an example of them. I get it, but it wasn't especially clever or especially poignant, except for that last part where he walks away and they're behind there. Oh, no, anything but this, that kind of thing. However, I ended up in the same place Miracle did, because I thought the first one was really strong, middle one absolutely trash, and the third one was, average, maybe a bit above average. 3.
A 3. Took a different path to get there, but landed in the same destination.
Yeah, you let's do that real quick.
Gino.
Well, hopefully I'd be quite as succinct as my my co-host there.
Is there an S word upon us? Let's see.
Well, I'm probably a little more generous than my co-hosts. I'm going to sort of just give this an overall score. It is all the same book. I will say this: it's kind of a funky way to introduce the character to people who have never read him before, because you don't really know anything about the city. There's little glimpses of it and snippets of it, but you don't really know what's going on with the judges. So I know there's some first issue mystery, but it's like just a bunch of little vignettes. But the good part is, I think they're all great. The first one especially is interesting. The story is really cool, I think, and I like the ending. I know Dave doesn't like the hero taken out of it, and I can understand that too. But at least there's a noble sacrifice, right, from someone to kill the big baddie who can only kill. I love the idea. See, this first issue already sets up an idea of an alternate reality in this universe. So basically we have Judge Dredd, what he could become, in an even more dystopian future, or whatever, when their own regulation turns inward and they find fault in everything, and then what's left to do but kill everybody, right? So a lot of cool imagery there. I like the bad guy. So it's just a fun story. The first one, I do like the ending of it, and how they had kind of a heroic idol. You can see that'd be like a propaganda piece. They'd probably wheel her out in parades and stuff, just to show everyone her body encased in that stuff. Judges give the ultimate sacrifice. You must obey them, that sort of thing. Very Maoish. So yeah, I like the first story a lot. Second story is probably the weakest of the bunch, but such a cool ending where Roger makes a very, very salient point about it being overkill. Basically, it is. It's not a very good use of resources, but it's just so cool. It's such a cool idea. It's such a cool last panel. Basically, taking the guys whose brains you blew out just a few minutes ago and sticking them in cryo sleep to one day fix him and then try him again guilty. So he does have to serve his sentence. So death is not the release that he brags about it being. The guy was pretty chatty for a guy who had a bullet through his brain. But other than that, just a fun little caper there. Once again, the first two kind of set up Dredd as more of a Batman-esque character, lots of detective work going on, gruff. And he has a team to work with. You can tell mostly those people get in his way. But so interesting. So the second one was definitely the weakest of the bunch, but the third one was really good as well. And it's very in keeping the character because they're going in to break up this gang. It's like over 100 people strong or something like that. And like all of dispatch is saying, we are going to send an army of judges there and clean this up right now. And Dredd's like, no, you're not going to send a message that way. Send one judge in and he cleans everybody out by himself. That makes people fear you. So, of course, it's Dredd that goes in there because he's the best of the best. And he goes in there and, makes several pages of short work of the gang. Doesn't kill anybody really, but collects them in this garbage truck too. He does a lot of demeaning of the bad guys in this story. He like makes one guy basically beg and tell everyone how awful he is. And then he's throwing these guys in a garbage truck. And then that's when he dumps them out there in the Badlands and the great wastes beyond the cities. And it's funny here, there's kind of a Greek touch here because back in the Greek days and Roman days too, the biggest punishment you could receive was to lose your citizenship, right? That's how they did it. And they would exile you. Much worse than dying. And so they kind of bring that in here. But just to show you how bad it is outside of the city, they're like, you're only banned for 10 years. So either they don't expect you to come back or it's just so horrific out there that 10 years is going to seem like an eternity. So it's a lot of cool nuance in this book or in that story. And I think it's a good one to close on. So I'm going to be very generous in this book because I really loved it. I couldn't wait to read more. The stories were short, but they got to the point. There was no wasted panels. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think the story was incredibly strong in this when seen as a whole. Yeah, 4.5.
Boom, 4.5, a home run for the right, scorching.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Genome is usually pretty tough on the story, so I am shocked.
I loved it. I want to read the next one. And once again, I think that's very important for a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is shaping up to be a fiery episode of Graders Notes. That's what we love. A lot of thoughtful opinions, but different opinions. So here we go. Here's where this book fell with me. Bullet points. Here's my bullet point review. Bullet point 1. 3 different stories, and what I dig is that it's like it almost feels like different genres in each. The first story felt like a horror story. The second felt like a sci-fi story, and the third feels like an action movie story, which I thought was cool. The same world of characters, but it almost felt like different genres, really, which kept it interesting. It kept, it didn't get me bored with like the tone of the book because the tone kind of changed a little bit. Another great thing that they did is at the beginning of each story, they did this cool little, just one little introduction paragraph that leads you into the story that I thought was cool. Like on the horror one, that little blue box, it just gives you, in Mega City 1, giant metropolis of the 22nd century, a criminal was escaping from the law. Boom. And it's Judge Death. For the sci-fi one, the opening little paragraph thingy, in the year 2021, there will still be diseases that science cannot cure, but for some, the very rich, there will be a way to defeat death, a way to spin the last few hours of life into centuries. And boom, into the story, which is pretty cool. That story kind of needed that too, because it's kind of it's concept heavy. And then the last one, the gang beef. There were some places in Mega City 1. There were some places in Mega City 1 where law and order had completely broken down. Places where even the judges were not safe to tread. Punk's Rule is the name of that one. So like nice little one little not even paragraph, one little statement introductions into each story. I thought that was a fun way to bring them in. Bullet point 2, world building. they really create their own little futuristic reality here, like the little details, like the radio DJ guy. And dude, how ahead of their time were they when the deaf guy goes to the DJ kid and he says, please, I'm just a harmless button jockey. And this is like 80s, and I don't know if I don't think it was. What a cool foresight into the EDM DJs of now that literally sit around and press buttons and play music. So I'm like, oh man, how like forward thinking was that? And just like Genome was saying, the world outside of Metro City 1, you know, is like this horror show. Like that's a cool little quirk of the story. The whole sci-fi element of this is like it's creating this cool little unique reality. It's almost like a Twilight Zone freaking dystopian future. So very cool, a lot of cool details that flesh the story out. Some negatives. I do think it's a weird decision to have the very first story out, a villain that overshines the hero, and like a co-star that overshines the main hero. I mean, this is all about Homegirl for the whole first story. So I'm like, what a weird starting point for that. Probably a misstep, you know. The writing isn't like fantastic. It does the job, you know, but there was nothing that I was compelled to like reread again. When something's written good, I'll like kind of reread certain narration things or dialogue boxes a couple times and like soak it in. I was just moving through this, reading it. Nothing really like stuck with me other than the very last panel. When he leaves those suckers, he gives them harsh justice. Last bullet point is that, you know, I don't think Judge Dredd is necessarily meant to be like your likable hero that you're rooting for necessarily. He's very hardcore authoritarian justice. You know, he's not. He's just trying to like zero compassion for criminals. You know, there's no black and there's no gray area. It's very black and white, and you know, and I think the book is intentionally not necessarily showing him in the air that he's right. You know, I think they're just giving you this hardcore authoritarian guy, and it's just you're left to make of it what you will. But I don't think he's painted as necessarily a shining hero, and I think that's a good choice. So with all that being said, well done, interesting. I guess I like the mini story vignettes. None of them are true home runs, so I give it a little above Metaroga Miracle with a 3.5. I didn't want to put it at a quite perfect status like Gino. I fell on 3.5, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. So,
good analysis. Good analysis. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, around the board. Great job.
Yeah, good analysis.
Gentlemen. Chad, you've heard our take, you know. I know on the art, they can kind of see the cover and make their decision, and even we can show inside art panels. But for the writing, for the story, those of you who have not read it recently, what do you think? With the way it's been laid out, you heard our 4 takes. What's your takeaway?
And let's keep it, if we can, from 0 to 5, not 6s and 7.8 and 3.14 pies. You know,
yeah,
make our lives a lot easier if we keep it to that point.
Yeah, ain't that right?
I don't know. I just see, Kenny, you said you didn't really think about the stories too much. Like after the book was done, I was actually thinking about some of the stories in my mind. Actually, all 3 of them, pieces of all 3 of them. First off, is like, is there an alternate universe here? Where did this phantom judge come from? Right, the dead judge, and why is it so close to the one? Is it just the parallel universe right next door, just a little bit subtly different? I thought it was kind of cool, but just run amok. And then like the second one, I just love this idea, man, of like plugging in for like 2 hours, the last 2 hours of your life you have left over, but making it seem like it lasted for centuries. That's, I think, a really cool notion right there.
It's like a Black Mirror kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, the concept is cool, but the execution of it, or the practical application of it, for as far as, you know, again, we're talking about a world which is overpopulated. It's the reason they have, well, I'm not going to get too much. The reason they have a judge, jury, executioner system is because there's so much crime that it would overrun the system. And then they have this guy who they're going to like actually bring back to cure. You know, to me, that was just, they didn't think that through very well. But I do like Kenny. I had the same analysis: horror, sci-fi, and then just, you know,
yeah,
you know, Western almost kind of thing where, you know, the guy comes, cleans up the town, and has him in a posse and throws him, you know, the key away in a gulag or something. Well,
yeah, Western. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
But I don't know. Something else that was really cool that no one else really hit on, but probably because this is recycled stories. No first issue-itis. He would fire the gun. It would go do its thing. And then maybe he would say what it was doing, you know, but it's like, that was awesome. It's like, okay, you see the picture of the bullet circling in and hitting the guy. And then he might say, okay, homing bullet. But so like, I think that was really cool. It was real minimal. He didn't say like, well, this group of 6 people is going to require my scatter shot ability with incendiary backups. He just shoot the guy and then maybe say something.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, definitely no first issue-itis. You hit the ground running for sure.
Yeah, there wasn't that first person monologue that we sometimes get, which can be very, very, you know, just super upsetting because you know that what they're doing is they're trying to compress in the origin story, and that can sometimes be really, really frustrating as heck. You're right. Good point, Gino.
I like they didn't hit you over the head with it, right? It's kind of unfolding as we go along. Like the one story, you got a kind of an idea of the judge's sense of honor. The next one, you kind of got an idea of society. The third one, you kind of just had an ass-kicking show. You know, you just kind of got this, oh, Judge Dredd really can throw down when he needs to throw down, right?
Oh, yeah.
See, it was something else, too, that lends it to him being the greatest, like, of the judges, because he doesn't have that compassion to worry about. Like the other ones that got them killed, they waited, they hesitated, and they died, right? So he's probably learned through experience, like he's surrounded by crime and hunger and strife and all that. So he just learned to shut it off, to not care. As soon as someone tells him he's guilty, like you're a goner. Or as soon as you threaten me, he's not going to sit there and wait and try to palaver with the guy, you know?
Yeah, that part makes sense to me. All right, I think we're ready, Kenny. If you got the abacus rolling.
I do.
All right, here we go. 2.5, 3, 3.5, another 3.5, another 3.5. Hey, Samuel David. I guess Night Tiger's giving it a 5. I don't think that's what House is saying there. Okay. That's it, I guess. I mean, House is saying the Bolin 5 cover art is right. So I don't think that he's grading it. He's just making an observation there. Okay, hold on. Biggie, 2.5 is he's just giving me trouble, Biggie is, but that's 2.5, okay?
2.5. That's awful.
Oh, CS is C3. I'm sorry, it's going with a 4. Oh, now we got another. Where were you guys, asleep or something? 3.5 here now. Again, if I run the comics, I think we bored them on that section, guys. Okay, I think that we've waited long enough there, Kenny. What's the computer spit out there?
Wow, the authoritarian nature of Judge Dredd rubbing off on Metarog as he scolds the chat. We have a 3.5 from the chat.
Wow. Excellent.
Well, so, I guess that falls in line with this guy.
Yeah, Kenny is ahead of the curve today. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Now it's interior art time. Same cover artist, Brian Boland. There seems to be a lot of Brian Boland love in the chat and on the panel. We know, and I think one of you guys said, I think it was Miracle, says Brian Boland is a premier cover artist. So many classic covers. He's basically famous for the cover art, I'd say. It's safe to say that.
There's one right over Genome's shoulder there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have the cover of issue 2 here, by the way. But how does he do? You know, he draws these badass cover portrait images, but How does he do when he has to navigate storytelling through panels and sequential art? That's what we're going to get to the bottom of here. And the person who's going to start off that conversation is just the man for the job. Genome presents. Break it on down, big dog.
All right. Once again, did you want to do the share screen or do you want to?
Do you have a share screen to? Because I don't. If you pop it up, I'm happy to include it.
Yeah. Hold on. I got it pulled right here. Yeah. You can see that.
Not yet.
No, not there. Well, let's not sit there and fool with it.
Okay. I am happy to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, white this for you, my friend.
Yeah, let's just show them the splash page. We'll sit there for a moment, right?
Yeah. Let's do that.
I'll save some for the other people. What a way to start a book. Doesn't say a word. There's not actually too much action going on, but he's got a look of consternation right there. He looks amazing. Great way to start this book. And he keeps up that same pace the entire way through. Everything that was lacking on the cover is found within. Backgrounds are lush. They're everywhere, especially when they get outside. The lighting and shadowing is great. The details are amazing. There's that DJ right there with the Google eyes. It's awesome, man. It's just such a good little scene. And if you look, I think it's the next page after the DJ bites it. He even does a funny little thing here where the silhouettes, it's like the guy jumps up into the girl's arm or something like that. So it's like they completely reverse the typical like girl jumping up into the guy's arm. So,
oh yeah, I remember that.
It's in the background there, but it was just lots of little stuff like that. And yeah, there it is right there. So I just thought that was a nice little detail right there. And it's just good perspective shots everywhere. When it needs to be open, it's open. When it needs to be closed and more claustrophobic, it's closed and claustrophobic. Not only does Dredd not smile, he doesn't even crack like a straight line. He's always got the grimace. He's got the scowl going on, man. He's all business. When people are joking and laughing about him, he is not taking part of it. Just awesome, man. I love the art in this book. I'll leave stuff for other people to talk about. The cityscapes look great. There's a couple of funky spots in there with like kicks when he does some kicks or something. It looks like there's no kneecap or something like that. A little bit too straight-legged and all that. But I mean, just a minor quip. Most of the faces look really good. I'm giving this a 4.5. I think it's a visual tour de force inside. The color palette, other than the judge's designs, like with multicolors and all that, really just works. Panel layout is not too busy. It's just right. It's good. 4.5. Really, really, really strong art inside, I'd say.
There you have it. Nice analysis from Chino. Very nice.
I try to make it a little more concise too, since I didn't have the book.
Well done. I guess next up is me. So, allow me to. Oh yeah, you can't beat that, man. You can't beat that first page and those hands, dude. He does fantastic hands, which is not the easiest thing to do. Command of anatomy, that's for sure. But you kind of know that when it comes to big up close drawings, that's where Bolin shines. So we know that's going to happen. Let's see how he handles the other stuff. I really like this page. You know, that's taking of the soul, the different colors in each panel. I don't know what it means, but it looks pretty badass. And this book just has tons of style. You know, the lettering of Judge Death is badass. And by the way, totally Batman Who Laughs is what I was thinking with this guy. I'm like, someone reading Judge Dredd when they come up with that? This guy, Judge Dredd looks awesome. Awesome. Perfectly crafted. One kind of has like, I get like a Dave Gibbons vibe from Brian Boland of Watchmen artist, of like really controlled line work, you know, doesn't overdo it. And that's what I like about this artwork. Now, I do think sometimes on faces, he gets a little wonky, like this gal's face in some of the opening panels get a little weird, like this one, for example. You know, a lot of face variation there. Looks a little different, you know, but still pretty cool. But just the way you're laying that out, close up on the teeth, great, very stylized. Look at this. When she's kicking the guy through the window, to make that all blank white, to almost look like she's kicking him out of the panel, is really clever, really cool. Knows when to paste it to like big page, almost splash page images like this, and then knows when to get down to business back in the panels. Just like, oh, baby. Really good. The color palette's cool. He lays out the page as well. Every time he draws Judge Dredd in a close-up fashion, he makes his head and helmet look so freaking cool. So yeah, I do think there's some variation in faces here and there. I mean, overall, it's Bolin, so he's got a pretty good command on it. But I do think that there's, you know, some slips here and there. Look at that kick to the throat, dude. The pose is great. Like, I wonder if he got a photo reference, if he asked his buddy to kick someone in the throat to get that. Because, man, that looks so lifelike, so realistic. Like, it's not comic book dynamic. It's like real life dynamic. Really cool. Just has an indie comic feel to me. And, you know, to end it off on that shadowy walk away, really good. Just really good, solid artwork. The color palette, the line work, the layouts. You know, again, I think the gal's face takes some trips throughout her story, a little inconsistency, but boy, really good. I mean, how could I not give it, man? How could I not give it a 4? I'm going to give it a 4 on the interior art. Love it.
High praise, high praise.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed. Let's see if that praise will continue with Mr. Matt.
Oh, my turn. All right, so the interior. I do like a lot of stuff. Everybody, you guys both said it, and I'll say it again. This first panel, that's an awesome panel.
So good.
That's so good, indeed. Really, you know, he's got a command of anatomy. There's lots of really cool stuff. Like Kenny was saying, you know, those kicks that look real, like that's a real body pose. Lots of the stuff is real body poses. Like you just get these big sense of movement from his shots. Like you're picturing, like when Judge Dredd is ducking, you feel it. And when, you know, that zombie's giving him a chop, you feel it. Like, because the body pose, you can feel he's coming down with power. You know what I mean? Just from that illustration that shows you that. You hit it on the head when you say there's a few wonky faces with this girl. And I don't know if he's doing that purposely because she's supposed to be possessed. Like, is she being like stressed out in the face or something? I gotta wonder about his choice of perspectives. Like we're constantly getting this up the nose shot in a lot of them, right? Like, oh, let's look up her nose there. Look up her nose on the next page. I think there's more with Dredd. Oh, there's another with up her nose there, right? So I question sometimes his choices in that way, not how he drew them. How he drew them is very well, but why would you do that? Like, why would you have constantly this? No, right? Like, no, come on. Like, give me. You can point their head down. We can see. We want to see their face too. The punks look really cool in the last story. I really like the guy with the chains on his face, who's also the cover guy. But that's, you know, looks cool. But man, that would be really, really uncomfortable. But anyway, great looking punks. The whole scene with Judge Dredd, you know, kicking ass is very, very well done. This scene here, where they're pulling away this guy, get it in the center, and they're taking him to the Hall of Justice, and he very much looks like Clark Kent to me. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, if that's like a little Easter egg, kind of like, you know, hauling Clark Kent to the Hall of Justice there. Superman can't stop them, but Judge Dredd can, kind of deal. And it's funny, like, and you know, they've set up their little kangaroo court, but you just get some very like some humorous panels in there. You see that same guy walking away in just his underwear later, right? Because the punks have stolen all his clothes. The zombies look good. Like he does quite a good job. Oh, here we go. Back up the nose shot in the next panel as well. That's the only criticism I have. You can tell this is very earlier work for Brian Bolland in comic books, where he's doing perspectives that I wouldn't make that choice personally. To me, they seem a little odd to do that kind of perspective. Makes everybody look like they're 2 feet tall watching the story. But it is very well done. And his anatomy is on point. His hands, like Kenny was saying, he's no Rod Liefeld, but his hands are great. His choice of perspectives, the backgrounds, and stuff like that are great. His sense of conveying movement through his illustrations are very good. I was reading a little bit on the internet about Brian Bolland, and particularly this Judge Dredd issues, and I guess it kept getting missed dates because Bolland is quite meticulous when he draws, and he was getting more and more and more into it. It's kind of what he was personally saying why he sticks to covers, because then he only has to do 1 page. Maybe he wouldn't make those choices now, being much more experienced as a comic book medium artist. But the choices he made there were a little bit. I gave the interior a 3.5. Right, not quite in love with it as much as Kenny was, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very well done.
Nice, damn good point about the up the nose angles. You're so right, dude. There were so many of those. Very astute from our boy Miracle. And speaking of astute, last man, Mr. Metarog, would you like some page assistance?
Yes, please. If you don't mind, my friend.
No problem. Let's get these other jabronis off the screen.
All right. Okay. Well, I think he's a brilliant cover artist. I had some problems with the interior. Maybe you guys, I kind of disagree with a few things that you guys said, but we'll get into it. Splash page, that thing is awesome, right? That eagle epaulet coming out there. You can tell that even if this is the first panel, you can tell this is some kind of law enforcement officer, right? You wouldn't have such an ostentatious decoration as that. And you have, of course, the chain down the middle and Dredd over the badge. We can tell right there. That's freaking perfect. That's all I can say. That's perfect. He's got like the justifier there. It reminds me of the Deathlock pistol that Buckler used to draw, with that barrel and then the mushroom in the front. And you can tell this thing is like lethal. It's like, forget it, you're gone. His character designs, you can flip the page there, Penny. His character designs are amazing. Honestly, they're just so good. The Judge Death, look at the face that you said that reminds you of the Batman Who Laughs. That reminds me of a lot of those EC comics from the 50s, where you get the climax and you see the sheer terror, and it would be front and center, right? You guys were kind of applauding the backgrounds. I wasn't very impressed with the backgrounds, honestly. Some of them were scant. Some of them were just very sketchy. Some of them have, you have kind of a very telescoping view. So there are not a lot of details, a lot of cross lines for lights and dark background. So it's, blacked out and you just sort of put some lights on. I like my backgrounds with a little bit more detail when called for. Now there are some like that face. Yeah, that's better without a background. But like you have like the DJ with the big eyes, great design. I mean, the character design is 5. I mean, this guy is brilliant designer. I wasn't crazy about some of the layouts. Some of them were so skinny, and you had to like shift your vision to be able to sort of get the whole thing. And they were just all over the place. It was totally non-symmetrical, and I don't have a big problem with that. But it just give me some kind of pattern, because it just was scattershot. And some of them were so small that I think he kind of cheated himself, because he's he's a good detailed artist when the figure is bigger, but when it starts reducing, I'm less impressed with it. As far as storytelling, he's a very good storyteller. Everything flows logically. One story element goes to the next, and there's no, you're not confused as to how the story is flowing. That's a good one right there with the like you said, I was going to say the same thing. That's Clark Kent, no doubt about it, Miracle. That's Clark Kent being dragged into the Hall of Just Us, right? And if you see Super Friends, it's Hall of, the Hall of Justice. So anyway, no doubt that is an homage there. Again, the design to sort of to vibe that dystopian future where there's a lot of lawlessness and you have to have a heavy-handed fist just to even keep things, forget about normal citizens, just to keep society together. Is very well done. The dark shades are well done. The colors are well distributed. If only those backgrounds were sometimes a little sharper, and some, like, I wanted a few more, because I figure there has to be in the background, technology. There has to be lights. There were some lights, but the more detail of it. So I wanted, again, like the cover, I wanted more. I think look at that face, brilliant face right there. I mean, that's when he is, look at the sweat, look at the anguish on there. I thought he was going to pull that nose ring right out of there. Great stuff. I mean, close-ups for Boland to me are 5s. But, again, the panel layouts were a little wonky to me. The backgrounds were not impressive to me. But everything else was so good. The storytelling elements, the flow, the detail, the designs are amazing. Absolutely amazing. So just I got to agree with Miracle on this one again. 3.5.
There you have it.
I agree.
Fantastic job, boys. That's proof that there is more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? Chat. You got a pretty good look at the inside art through these 4 reviews. We would like to kick it to you. We want to hear your votes on, Brian Boland. Everyone loves his sexy covers. They're fantastic. They're poster worthy. But, we're talking about his inside work. How did he do? What do you guys think? And, Roger, if I can be honest, since I think since this is, an episode hosted by me, I can put in this request.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get a kick out of when you say the name of the person before you say the grade, because I'm wondering what they, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'll keep up. I'll keep up. I want the chat to get a little shine. I want.
Okay. We'll do.
We're marking you for future reference.
Yeah, the rewinders. I want them to know who put those grades out.
Will do. Absolutely. I mean, sometimes I do when I'm like not sure, I'll like read out the statement because sometimes they'll be referring to something, topical from a previous chat member. And so I'm like not sure, right? But I wasn't sure if I said the name and the grade that it's confusing. So, but yeah, I'll take care of it. I love shouting out this chat, by the way.
Thank you, Roger. And welcome to Bear Island Comics.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We do pride ourselves on respectful disagreements. But I think we all kind of get a kick out of it when people disagree with us.
Oh yeah, makes for good clip shows.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to be disrespectful to diss somebody. You know what I mean? It's just like I got a 3, Phenomo's got a 4.5. There's no reconciliation there. All right.
Yeah.
It's even more savage when he does it in a gentlemanly way. So.
Yeah. I think this is the greatest compliment we've ever got, guys. Right here, Night Tiger. Arg, you guys are going to make me to go home and read this immediately.
Yes.
There you go.
Do so.
Good job, guys. Excellent.
While we're waiting for the grade, I was actually going to say something else, and I was along the same lines as Dave on this one. I didn't want to mention it because I didn't know if anyone else would. Maybe the way her face was drawn so funky compared to everyone else was because there was like this torn conflict in her because she had the other entity within her body and she was trying to fight it off. So maybe that was part of it. I don't know, but maybe a little artistic license. I don't know about that, but
yeah, I agree. It was exaggerated. You know, he has like some kind of fetish with teeth too, because I mean, they're out there. I mean, I understand, you know, that like Starlin had a similar fetish with it, but he just really puts it out there. The teeth, you know, especially that big one. I mean, that woof.
He has a whole panel. That's like a Wolverine panel, not a a female psychic panel. You know?
Good thing she had, you know, she has the best dentists in 2200 because they were immaculate. Any little detail you would have, any little fleck you would have been able to see in there.
Teeth and nostrils.
I'll tell you something else that impressed me inside is just how soft his lines are. There's no Kirbyism in there. It's so soft. It almost blends into the background so well, man. I love the way it's done. I love his touch. It's such a light touch.
It's almost like he used a feather on some of those. Just a gentle stroke, you know, sort of like lull you in, but the impact of that lull is immense. All right.
So let's see, Chad. Did you like Boland's soft, sensual touch, like Gino says? Or
oh, call 1-900-COMIC-HIT-84.
Get your parents' permission first.
All right, here we go, Kenny.
Okay.
Oh, we have way too much fun on this show, guys. Way too much fun. All right, Unruly Simeon, our best pinch hitter in any show. I don't care what anybody says. 4.5.
Good man.
Our super fan, Steve Whiting, 4.5. House Till the End. Great chat superstar, 4.0. Biggie, what can you say? The best of the best, 4.0. Funk Comics, Funky's coming in with a 4.5. Magic Lasso, he just got a major great looking sensation comic, 4.0. My buddy Bill from Arizona, Comic Mag Musings, 3.5. Bowman doesn't have much detail. Are you saying, Gore, that's a 5? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're reading there, guys?
I read 5 from Gore, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. C3. You're killing me, C3. 3.8. The interior art helps that you stay excited. I guess we can round up to 4, Kenny.
Yeah, we'll make that a 4. I need some more decimals, people. Come on.
Aggressively relaxing. How you doing? You gave that a 3. Bless your. Are you giving it a 3?
No, I think he's chastising someone who gave it a 3.
Yeah. See, that's why you have to pay attention because it's topical stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. He did say 5. Gore. Okay, good.
Got it. Okay, great. Let's roll with that. That brings us to a 4 from the chat. Just gonna give myself a little.
Yeah, you're only off by 0.5 tonight, my friend, with one more round to go.
Kenny, is it true that you sent a blanket blackmail to everybody?
Yeah. I hope you all got your copies of this issue in the mail.
I've undergraded everything here. I've been below the curve on every single one.
And yeah, that sounds like a fun night, Tiger. Maybe I will draw some Judge Dredd.
Trying to steal my thunder. That's my gig, man. Pick a crappy book next time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're due for a nice stinker soon, huh?
I know.
Whose pick is it next?
Roger.
Roger? Yep. Could go either way.
Yeah.
Do an old horror comic, man. Yeah.
Next up is that ethereal. Is that the right word that I've heard used before?
Ethereal.
Ephemeral concept. Great. Or yeah, what's the concept of this book? That could be, even though he wasn't created for this issue, we're just gonna let the graders decide. Are they gonna go on the concept of Judge Dredd or the concept of this particular issue? Let's see. This is always it can get wild on the concept grade. So we're gonna let that grade get kicked off by I forget who went last. I think is it Miracle that goes first now? I think.
Sure.
I think so. Miracle. What do you think of the concept of this book?
Rob, you want to go first?
No.
Concept. So yeah, that was my problem too, Kenny, was is this the concept for 2000 AD or is this the concept for Judge Dredd #1 from Eagle Comics, right? Am I judging the concept? Is it a good concept to reprint material from another book and sell it again? If you're a businessman, that's a good concept. But if you're a fan reader, no, right? Or do I need to judge it on the concept of the stories as they stand? Like, I know it's reprinted, but am I judging that or am I judging this, right? Who's the judge? Who's the law here, right? I took it more to judge this, right? It's a reprinting of material from another comic book, reformatted and presented in North American style comic book. The concept of that is not that great, right? It's just a reprint. They've been doing reprints for decades before this. If I were to take it on the concept of the stories as fresh, as new, as Judge Dredd is himself being a character, being new, 5, right? That's a cool concept for a character. Dystopian future, these huge mega cities of almost 1 billion people, and the law has gotten so bad that they've had to create these judges that are, the police force and the justice system and executioner all rolled into one, right? So you're caught on the street, you're judged on the street, and your sentence is carried out right there. Eliminate all that court time. If you have 800 million people in one small area, you can no longer, queue people up to go to court because nobody would ever get a day in court for years, right? So the concept of that is great. These judges have taken over. Dystopian future stories, I always like them, right? And yeah, but I got to hold this comic true to itself, right? It's a reprint. And so for the concept of reprinting material from another comic book's source is not that great. However, picking this particular material to reprint from that source was pretty smart. So I gave it a 1.5 for the concept.
Wow.
I had to judge it on itself. Like I said, if I was judging 2000 AD, number 2 or 1 or 2 where his first appearance happened, it would get 5. But I can't judge it for that because the concept of this book is to reprint materials from another book.
Okay.
So that's where I stood, 1.5.
There you have it. Oh, my mic was muted. I didn't realize that. There you have it. 1.5. Genome, you gave this book pretty high story marks, the highest story marks of the crew. So did that grade bleed into your concept? What do you say?
I'm always loath to say this, but Miracle brings up some good points there. How do you judge this book? It's interesting. I'm going to lean toward another angle of it. This is basically a reissue of, I don't know if they even doctored the stories at all from the original, or they just completely carried them over. This is a lot like when they reboot any series that was not well known. Like, just for instance, when we reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy, even though those guys had been around for 30 years prior to that, as some of those guys had, I would say that 90%, 95% maybe of the comic readers at the time probably had never heard of them before, right? So it's almost like a brand new license, a new property. So what makes this one a little more difficult to do is they're only pulling from stories like 2 years ago. So, but probably a lot of American readers didn't have them. I don't know. It is difficult to judge. No pun intended there. But it's a good concept, man. You take probably 3 of the better stories, I'm assuming, from the original releases, and you put them in one book to in such a way that really it fleshes out the world and universe they're trying to build. So if you're gonna just plagiarize stories from earlier, at least put it into a nice cohesive form that people can get an idea of where this book's going to be going from then on when they start writing original stories. I can dig that. I think it's a little above average. I'm going to give it a 3.5 on concept. Also saying what Dave was saying, it's a really cool concept. If you're looking at Judge Dredd as a first time, reader, freaking amazing. He's a little more human. I like it. Things and circumstances a little more real. The repercussions are going to be final because he's a human. I always dig that. I like the human characters the best in comics. Just a fascinating look at what could happen with overpopulation. That was all the rage back then, talking about overpopulation. So pretty cool, and it's a good time. It's a good way to flex your sci-fi muscles and not seem dated maybe 30 years later down the road. So you really got to think way ahead. Like a lot of like Hollywood blockbusters that are sci-fi, they make this huge mistake of like maybe only looking 10 years ahead, but making the movie like 40 years ahead in time. You know what I mean? The technology, this just doesn't look good. So all that weirdness aside there, it's nothing revolutionary, but it's a good way to bring the character with who they may only make a tentpole out of, and to bring it to the masses. So it was 3 good stories together, slap it in one pretty cool cover, I guess, and ship it out to masses and see if it works. So apparently it did. So 3.5. Like nothing revolutionary here, but just a good solid way to release a character to the masses, I'd say.
Oh, there you have it. So far, your reviews have prompted a boos and hisses from the crowd, and even a wink from Baby Shack. I'm gonna go ahead and take. I'll hold up the rear on this one and let Metarog go next and let us know what he thinks on the concept of this book.
Well, we got a very introspective Mr. Miracle on this, and of course a very torn but decisive. I mean, torn but very explicit, detailed breakdown of what Genome was talking about. And I fall somewhere in there, but I have I guess a different perspective. I'm putting myself. I'm going into my time machine, going back to 1983. And a young Metarog was working at a comic book store at the time. And again, this is something which I did not know about at that time. Okay. So to me, this was a new character, a new dynamic as far as getting something that was published in a foreign country and now is available, more easily or accessible, all right? Because otherwise you would have to import the original 2000 AD, which was difficult back then, right? Because there was no internet, you had ads, and you didn't have ads generally from foreign countries. So to me, I think this is what my highest score, this concept, because when I look at that young Metarog, and I think to myself, I want to read comics of all genres, of all types, from all different walks of life and all different parts of the world, and I don't have access to them because there's not an easy way for me to access them. But yet, Eagle Comics did that for us. They brought this over, repackaged it in what we call for an American audience, the floppy that we were used to, and sold it for a reasonable price. Had it mass distribution, ordered in the direct market, newsstand. I believe it was a newsstand, but I'm not totally sure about that. It was definitely in the direct market, and it was, to me, it was a revelation, because it was a character that had a lot of different complexities to him that I wasn't aware of. I mean, you had the Punisher, who was outside the law, and then you had various superheroes which worked depending on their particular villains or rogues gallery within the law, but skirting it. And then you had someone who was the law, but it was in a totally different a future, a dystopia, a society which none of us would recognize. Well, maybe today, but not at that point. So to me, I thought that the bringing this into the mass audience. Remember, UK only has what 15% of our population, and it might have been distributed to Australia. I'm not sure, but very few countries otherwise, but never here. So to me, I thought that this was a way of, first of all, business-wise. I think Dave did talk about this. You already have material, but you don't. But the audience is new. So why reinvent the wheel? You already have it. Repackage it in a nice little 3-story, almost like one character anthology. And like we were talking, Kenny, you're kind of skirting different genres: horror, sci-fi, western, little bit of superheroism thrown in there, a little bit of drama and so forth. So I thought this was a really good concept, not just for us and not just for the business, but for the industry itself, because it brought something new that we did in 1983 we did not have access to. So I thought it was an excellent concept. So again, this is my highest score of everything. I gave it a 4.
Boom. 4. We're continuing with the different takes on these categories. So
just the way I picked, like the way my perspective was that this was a reprint.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I think you're really shortchanging this as calling it a reprint, because it's what I was picturing when I was thinking of like the credit that I would give this is I was thinking of the young Meta Rock. You know what I'm saying? At the comic shop of, the it's reprinted stories, but at least they, thought to let's pull a breakout character from this 2000 AD. They didn't just reprint 2000 AD. They kind of snagged Judge Dredd, a breakout star from that, gave him his own comic book in the United States, opened him up to a new audience. They bet on Judge Dredd. So kudos to that. Kudos to keeping Brian Boland on as a part of the project, and then try to farm it out to some other person. And we got to give points. No one pointed out the really cool that I'm going to chalk this up to a concept of giving you the Judge Dredd story in the back of the comic, so they let you know, hey, here's the history of this dude. Here's what he's about. You get some good content back here, like 4 or 5 pages. Here's some concept drawings, and info on his creation. And the last page is really cool of the breakdown of the Lawmaster. They're letting you know, hey, this is an iconic part of the character. This is his Batmobile, the Lawmaster. Just like trying to, it's a great way to introduce the character, I think, including that kind of material. Granted, I think of the stories that they chose, this story probably has the most badass opening panel. But actually, I don't know if I'd wonder if that was actually, because I feel like this page doesn't necessarily tie into that story. Maybe they just pulled that as like promo art, because I guess it doesn't really tie into this. But concept-wise, of putting this as the first story, probably a misstep. This might have been better as like a second one, or even the last one. I don't know, but Judge Dredd doesn't necessarily shine in that first one. It's more about the supporting characters. But man, I think it's a great idea. Yes, it's a reprint, but they didn't just reprint 2000 AD. They served you up that law, that justice, that Judge Dredd to the American audience, and gave you the cool stuff in the back. So kudos to that. I can't give it like some 4.55 marks in my opinion, because I would lean more and give more points to a completely original creation. The creative team did adapt. So as far as adaptations go, they did a good job. I give it a 3.5 on the concept. kudos to introducing Judge Dredd in comic book form in the United States. Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Something else I didn't mention in the concept too. I didn't know if anyone else was going to do it. All through until maybe the very, very tag end of the Bronze Age and start of Copper, there wasn't really too many good lethal anti-heroes out there for comics. You know what I mean? The Punisher wasn't a well-known property. He was like a guest star in a couple times, but he hadn't had his own run yet. So we weren't really used to that sort of justice being delivered. So it was also a really cool concept to bring that kind of character so early into basically the Copper Age there to kind of, I guess, harden the hearts of comic readers out there.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, really good point.
Yeah, you had the Spectre, but it was a very different vein than this. Very different.
Yeah, the Spectre, the Shadow,
Shadow,
and Green Hornet to some extent.
And what's also kind of cool about the character too is I'm sorry. Go and give your grade, Chad. I'm sorry, I'm sitting there.
Please do.
But it's almost like he was a lethal Batman with government sanction, which is really cool because he has like almost a utility belt kind of thing going on with his gun and all that, and he's got the cool Batmobile cycle and all that. It's kind of cool. So it's like a whole army of Batmans out there to fight crime, except for they don't have any holds barred. But.
with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as the chat puts in their grades for concept, is that a true story? Did a young Metarog work at a comic shop?
Yeah. Well, when you say work, I worked for comics.
There you go.
I go in there mostly. I think it was mostly during a summer, but I remember going also either when it must have been when I was driving as a senior in high school. I would go after school as well and help out. So, I would, if I worked like 3 hours, I'd get like $5 a comics or something,
Nice.
I just had a vision of Roger like snatching the last copy of the Strawberry Shortcake #1 out of some little girl's hand, saying, "You don't know the value of this. I'm taking this one with me."
Yeah, I have so many regrets, guys. I had a chance to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 first print. I said, this art looks terrible,
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
So,
I bet. Yeah.
I know. If I had a time machine, people always fantasize like I would go back and do this and change history. If I could get a time machine, brother, I'm going straight to the LCS, man.
Who wouldn't? I mean,
yep. I think on No Face Chat, we said the same thing. DS Comics is like dying to get a time machine and go back to the 30s newsstand.
First things first.
Comic #1.
Well, thank you, Simon. Thank you for the compliment of looking sharp today. What can I say? I actually got a haircut. I don't. Did we describe what the concept was well enough, Kenny? I don't know. If
I think we can round it to. We got 2 3.5s and 2 4s. Does that round to a 4 or a 3.5? What do you think?
Like right in the middle, isn't it?
There's a third 3.5.
There's a third 3.5. Okay, so I guess we can do that. Yeah. Hey,
guys, the concept of Judge Dredd and the story behind the stuff, 5. Like I love it.
Agreed.
But it's a reprinted comic book, and it's a reprint in my opinion, and the concept for a reprint is not new. It's just a money grab. So I gave it 1.5 for picking a really awesome comic to reprint, but that's about it.
Yeah, what they should have done is just written an entirely new #1 with a new story, and then maybe add one of those stories each week or the first 3 issues behind it.
That would have been better, right?
That's a fair point.
This is 1983, guys. That is not the easiest thing to do in 1983. To get physical media from the UK to the United States could take a while. I mean, you had like Federal Express and all that. That was insanely expensive. I mean, insanely expensive.
Just ship the plates; it'll be fine.
Yeah.
They printed those books in Canada, so they must have done it at some point.
You mean the not the 2000 AD though? That was in London, Great Britain.
This is a Great Britain publisher, but their printer is in Canada.
That one, the Eagle.
Yes.
Yeah, but not the original, not 2000 AD.
I'm not sure.
I don't think so, Dave. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure not.
this, all of the comic books
Mhm.
that were distributed in North America were printed in Toronto.
Yeah, that I know, but I'm pretty sure that 2000. I mean, maybe somebody in the chat knows, but I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have it go from the UK to Canada and then back to the UK. That just doesn't make much sense.
Well, probably not for the magazine. You're right. Like they probably had their North American printer there.
Wow.
But they must have been sharing artwork back and forth at some point, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could have been done. No, I'm not saying it couldn't have, but it would not have been. And remember that this was cheap because they didn't have to pay. Maybe they had paid some kind of royalties, but they didn't have to pay per page for the penciler or for the writer. So you say a money grab. Me, I say a good business decision.
This is the same publisher, right? The guys that published the 2000 AD magazine, they created Eagle Comics to publish comics.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
They're just reprinting their own stuff.
That's correct. But
it's a money grab.
But we didn't have.
How can you get that concept to 4?
We didn't have access to it.
It's a money grab. I should only give it a half point.
It's a business. It's a business to make money. It's not a business to give you charity.
But I'm looking at it from the concept of a reader saying, "Why am I paying
new market
25 Canadian for a reprinted comic?"
Well, I guess we have to agree to disagree there, Dave. What can I say?
And in 1983, that's double the price of what comics were selling for. They were 50 cents a piece back then.
Yeah, I know, but you're not talking about, some random issue of Dazzler. You're talking about Dredd, something that was proven at the time and now is available to us here in the United States.
It was sort of proven. I mean, they hadn't proven it in the North American market, and 2000 AD wasn't like a huge seller or anything.
It was pretty pop. I mean, I remember reading about it back then, so I remember that it got good reviews. I remember that.
Well, then how come Eagle Comics only lasted 3 years? Because it wasn't very popular.
I don't know, but maybe they ran out. Maybe they thought to themselves, "Hey, listen, it was a very competitive market, so maybe the novelty wore off. But at least we had it for 3 years. I mean, listen, for the 80s, that's not a bad record. A lot of times you got 2 issues or something, and independence died like overnight."
Yeah. You know what I forgot to do is I forgot to give it the Wizard #1 how much things was worth here. This issue went for $4.50 around 1991, so it was prime.
More than quadruple cover price.
That's right, skyrocketed. Welcome, Kachun. Good to see you.
Hey, buddy.
What chat grade do we want to give? Was it 3.5?
3.5, which just so happened to be what I gave.
I tell you, Kenny.
Just say it's no big deal. I'm just saying.
He's living a charmed life tonight. Man.
Yeah, right.
If you hadn't got crazy with the cover and overestimated, you'd be right on, but you're off by 0.5.
He was still the closest, I think. So
almost a streak, Damn it.
We'll give it to him.
We're gonna do overall. Let's keep the overall tight. I'm gonna keep it in this view here, and let's just kind of pop through and drop an overall grade. We're yet to, most episodes of Graders Notes behind the scenes before we start. Us here on the panel know what the person is going to put forth for the next week's book. Unless I missed it, I don't think we know. So we're just as in the dark as you guys. So stay tuned to help us, be a part of that if you want to tag along for the next edition. So let's just go through a quick overall. I'll drop mine. Cover was fantastic. I love the letters, man. I think it's unique. More Boland art would have been great, but it's unique as hell. It stands out. It is like a poster. Fantastic. The art inside, Brian Boland is just top shelf stuff. Reminds me of Dave Gibbons' style, UK artist, which puts him in very elite company. Did a great job. The story was good. Not great. I gave it a 3.5. I think that's kind of about what it deserves, but interesting. You float with different genres. 3 stories in one was kind of cool. kept it a brisk read. No story bogged down. It kept it moving. The concept, which we just went over, I think it was good. I think at the end of the day, it brought him to the United States. So I think that's more than just reprinting it. I think their goal was to bring him overseas to the States and to a new audience, which I got to give him points for that. And all the back matter, you know what I'm saying? That back matter, dude, in the book was clever. You know, I'm pretty sure that's original content that they added to really try to pull you in for the next issues. So with all that being said, my overall grade, I'm going to, what did I say, 3.5? This book overall is a 3.5 too.
Nice.
You know, Mister, I'm just going to go nuts and freestyle. Metarog, what do you say on the overall?
Our alumnus Gray Man has joined us right at the end. He should have been here at the beginning for this one.
Kachung too. He's in tomorrow watching us right now.
He's in tomorrow. No, he's Australian, but he lives in Atlanta, I think.
Oh, never mind. He's in the now.
Yeah, I think. Now, Simple Simon, he is in tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Kachung's family's tomorrow, but
yeah, Kachung's family's tomorrow. Yeah. All right. So, real quick, cover, nice, real nice. I wish, again, it could have been better. It had so much more potential to be blowing me out of the water. As it is, it was good. It was eye-catching. Definitely one of those that, you know, you're flipping through. You're gonna notice it because it's very different than, you know, most American comics at the time. Okay, so I gave it a 3.5. I just the Bolin figure and holding the thug, and you know, the flow from the top of the cover all the way to almost to the wraparound. Brilliant there. The text and all that I could have done without. Story, pretty good. The first one was, I think, an excellent story in the horror vein. Second one made no sense to me. You know, it's like they tried to sort of hit the science fiction angle, which I appreciated, but logically, and I'm sorry, I think this way. I think, is this practical, right? No, it's not. That makes no sense in this situation. And the last one I thought was pretty good, action packed, kind of that Western one, you know, king of the hill, king of the mountain, going in there, cleaning up the streets, you know, putting them, and not killing them, but putting them in a situation that worse than death, essentially. I love that kind of stuff. You know, I just love those kind of creative punishments. So I gave that a 3, I think. Art, I can't read my own handwriting, so forgive me. Art, solid, real good. I didn't like the backgrounds to a good degree. I thought they were just kind of mushy and kind of and too many telescoping shots that kind of lost their, you know, the vibe. But still, even within those kind of issues, the storytelling, the flow was so good. One panel logically flowed into another. Panel layouts were a little weird, a little distracting, but not like weirdly distracting, just a little bit. 3.5. I mean, his character designs, I think, are just 5s. Brilliant designs, absolutely brilliant. Concept, we just went over. 4, and overall, I got to go with Kenny on this, 3.5. I think this is way above average. It could have been a little bit better with a few more powerful stories and a better cover and tightening up the art here and there. But honestly, if you haven't read this, it's worth picking up.
It's definitely worth picking up.
Yeah.
Our fearless leader seems to have taken a powder.
What say you?
He might have had to go to the facilities.
That's okay. So moving along, Gino, what did you feel was your overall for this book?
Okay, so the cover didn't blow my skirt up. It was just okay. I kind of see what they were trying to do with it, but it reeks of a little bit of laziness, and just wasn't my cup of tea. 2.5. What you can see of it was good, but there's just way too little of the actual art and way too much writing. So, let's see. Let's go in the order we used. Story, I gave it a 4.5. I thought the 3 stories were really fun. They grabbed my interest. They got me thinking about it even after I got done reading the book. That's all I asked for, and I want to read more of it. So, hey, what more do you want? They can't all be Beowulf or anything, but I mean, still, I thought they were really good, and it was a great introduction to the character. I think these stories were selected well to introduce the new audience to the character. Let's just say that, in lieu of an original story. Interior art, 4.5 once again, solid all the way throughout. I just loved it. I loved. The only thing I nicked him for a little bit was some of the, while he drew anatomy well, some of the like the kicks and stuff and the way the legs would straighten out. Just little things like that kind of irked me. But yeah, just great stuff. Like there's a couple panels in the middle story where like the guys are, I guess they're getting almost cryogenically frozen to put them in this state so they can live out their last couple hours thinking they lived like 100 years or 200 years, whatever. And they're like shaded blue and all that. So it's just a nice little touch. Nice little touches like that all throughout this book. Great stuff. 4.5. Concept, man, this is tough, man. Dave and I were on the same page in this one, but he was a lot harder on it than I was. But it's very tough to judge this. This is either just a quick cash grab. I'm just going to repackage the same stories that. This is another ding against it. They were only written like 2 years before this. This wasn't like them drawing back from the 30s or 40s, some stories within. They just took some really recent stuff and put it in there. But I think their taste was pretty good in doing it. And it did bring a new cool character to the public consciousness. So I gave it 3.5. Nothing new here, nothing revolutionary, but it was a nice selection of stories. Overall, actually, this book wound up being a 4 for me. I was pleasantly surprised. I'd never read this before. The character is just so damn cool. And I mean, I guess the cool points give it an extra bonus point off the bat, but I just think it was a good, solid book. The only thing I dinged it for really was the cover. Everything else was either above average or well above average in my book. So 4, solid book. Highly recommended.
4 for Gina.
Sorry, bud.
Nice.
The miraculous one.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, overall, this book, the cover was half good, right? The left half was good, the right half not so much. Take a look at my notes here.
Right back.
Interiors had a lot of up the nose shots, but generally were good. Especially the action sequences in there, I really felt the conveyance of movement through its illustrations. The stories, they varied for me. I didn't like the horror zombie story. I wanted Dredd to be the hero of the very first story that he's getting, which he wasn't. I wanted, less horror, more sci-fi, I guess. And then they kind of went up and up in, how I felt about them from there. In varying parts, the concept for me, the concept is that it's a reprint, and they're reprinting material, their own material, like David said, it's only a couple of years old. Right, and just repackaging it and hoping you buy it again. So that's the score that drug it down for me, and I ended up giving it a 3. But with a caveat, I highly recommend reading it. It's just the concept, which I attributed the good concept of the character to 2000 AD. Right, so I highly recommend reading it.
There you go.
So 3, right? 3 you said, Dave?
3, yeah.
Ah.
There you have it. Look at just some incentive to read issue 2. One of the stories is like, what's that wacky races Hanna-Barbera?
Nice.
Look at that, all the different vehicles. And
That's cool.
Oh wow! And somehow, what's the name of these guys? Is it Laurel and Hardy? These guys.
Yep, Laurel and Hardy. Yep,
Laurel and Hardy, man.
And Laurel. And yeah, and Oliver Hardy. Yep. And the Marx Brothers.
Nice.
Yep.
So
Really well done. Really well.
And is that the Three Stooges on the other page from the Marx Brothers there?
oh boy, no, I don't see that.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
No. But boy, some wackiness going on in issue 2. Some fun stuff. So.
Hey, Dave, what was your score?
3.
3. Sorry, I was dipping out. They were mentioning Halo Jones in the chat, and I had a couple issues. I was just looking at them the other day. I was going to flash them across the screen, but
What's that? Halo Jones?
Flash them.
I don't have them. I can't
you don't
find
have
them
them.
now,
Oh, okay.
and I want to see them. I'm usually tripping all over them, but I got a couple of them. It would have gone good. Remember, Roger, when you did that contest where you had to do a spider cover?
Yeah.
There's a Halo Jones cover that has this gigantic spider, and this chick kind of just like falling into it. It's a great cover. I thought about doing it for cover of the week.
Yeah, it had to be a spider, but not Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
An actual spider. Yeah.
Good old Halo Jones. That's really indie stuff there.
That might have been a winner.
Boom. Well, there you have it. Judge Dredd #1 has just been Graders Notes analyzed, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the ride as we dissected the book and gave our different takes on every little aspect of the book. We never just grade on the sum of its parts. We break it on down, baby. Now, what's next on the topic? What's the next book that's going to go under the microscope? We're on the edge of our seat here because you don't know.
Well,
it's your pick, sir.
I'm going to show you what I wanted to pick, but I don't think there are reprints of this, right? So
means you got to send 3 copies to us. All right.
But yeah, and unfortunately, I don't have extras, or I would send it out. So I wanted to do, I you know how we do? We give them choices, right? I wanted to do DC Marvel, right? So
yeah.
I thought this would have been a great pick.
First cover.
Wally Wood, Joe Staton. Oh man, that would have been a good one. Or one of my all-time favorites, Astonishing Tales 25. Man, I would love for you guys to do the Graders Notes on this, but there's no reprint, I don't think, of this yet. So I had to go with 2 substandard issues compared to that, right?
Yeah.
But I think these are both cheap, okay? One is Time Warp #1. Dave Warp Sci-Fi. Here it is, buddy. All right. Kaluta art on the cover. All right. The other choice is the very first Marvel miniseries, Marvel Superhero Contest of Champions #1.
Whoa.
Okay. I think these are okay. I would have liked the other ones, but so the chat. Let's let the chat decide. I think I looked it up. This one is only the Contest of Champions is only like $5 or $6, and this one is like the Time Warp is like 3 or 4. So
wow.
Neither one are very expensive, just for reading copies. So let us know what you think, guys. What would you pick?
There you go. 2 books.
Let your chat
I know nothing about. Wow. Interesting.
Crazy picks.
I didn't realize that Alan Moore done Halo Jones. I hadn't read him so long. I've forgotten.
You forgot Alan Moore?
I haven't read the book since like the 90s, I think, early 90s when I got him. So
you can say whatever you want about Alan Moore. He's memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here.
Oh boy.
Right. So far, we got 3 Time Warps, and then we have 3 champions. So.
Who's going to be the decisive?
Who's decisive?
Chat voice right now. Let your voice be heard. Hey, while we're waiting for those scores to come in, has everyone here seen both of the Judge Dredd movies?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What did real quick? What did y'all think of them?
First one terrible. Second one good.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the first one was terrible, but it was boring, honestly. Second one I thought was actually very good. I would say it was beyond good. Especially, they introduced the psi officers, which the first one kind of totally ignored. So I thought it was very good.
I thought the guy playing Judge Dredd overall was much better at it than Stallone too.
It was. He's the guy that played McCoy in the new Star Trek remakes.
Carl Urban.
Urban, yeah, I couldn't think of his name.
Good actor.
Oh man, the first Dredd looked amazing. Like special effects wise, like the ships they were flying around on, and some of the, like mutants they were showing looked pretty cool, cartoony but cool. But awful movie. The second one was really good.
One of the mutants looked like the file teeth guy when he was captured and they strung him up. That kind of reminded me of him. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, but the second one was pretty good. I think they definitely kept it really close to source material. And according to legend, he refused to take his helmet off. Like they were trying to write him with his helmet being off in some scenes, and he refused to do it. Yeah. He's like, that's not the character. So that was cool. He tried to really respect the character. So I can dig it.
Okay. All right, so let's count this up, guys. We got. I'm sorry, we can't do All-Star Deathlock. That was just kind of once those are reprinted, that's going to be one of my picks. Just right off the bat because I love those two comics, right? But Time Warp 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, got 4 for Time Warp. Contest 1, 2, and 3. So, fellas, you have 2 weeks to hunt down Time Warp number 1.
Time Warp number 1, baby.
Nice.
Wow.
You might be able to get the whole, I think it's like a 6-issue series. You might be able to get the whole thing for like $10, $12. And
Sure, it's not expensive.
so,
I've never even heard of it, so I'm sure it's not expensive.
well, you know me.
I never have either.
I stray very far from the mainstream.
The deep cut, brother. That's what we like here.
That was like a spinoff of the Cool Man era saga, yeah, or the Kool-Aid Man, yeah.
Good one.
It's gonna be fun.
But look at this one here.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. I mean, yeah, you'll see. It's anthologies, so we're gonna have to do the same thing as this one. Kind of, they're shorter stories, so we're gonna have to read them and give individual grades. And there are mixed artists too. But that is a challenge that I know my 3 compadres are up to.
Man, it was so under the radar. It wasn't even listed in Wizard. Oh my goodness. I wonder if it was an Overstreet. I don't know.
1979. This is pre-Kenny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I bought this puppy off the newsstand, 7-Eleven newsstand, Coral Way and 72nd Avenue. Okay, Miami, Florida.
Nice, man. Pedigree, Bedrock pedigree.
That's an original. Never has gone anywhere except in my possession since 1979.
Should be a fun ride. Boom. This concludes the show. We'll just do a quick pop in and check the temperature on our panel members here, and they're going to let you know if there's any programming on their channels, individual channels that you need to be aware of. And remember that Graders Notes, we share the love. We share the stage, if you will. So if you enjoyed tonight's show, just keep in mind that this show isn't always exclusively on the Comic 84 channel. Depending on whose pick it is, we tend to cycle through. So make sure you subscribe to Genome when we do the show on his channel, Mr. Miracle, and Metarod. Okay, guys? Pre-Kenny horror. That's funny. That's some pre-Kenny horror. Genome, what's anything exciting coming up? And is there anything, maybe some recent videos that you made that you want to make sure that people know about?
Oh, thanks for asking. That's a good setup there, by the way. You should be next Johnny Carson. So for recent videos I put out, I have, for most people who are in the chat might like this, I have recently interviewed Transformers OG, Ghost Rider cover extraordinaire, and Sleepwalker inventor, Bob Budiansky on my channel. It's almost a 2-hour interview, gives you a pretty fascinating look into Marvel, basically in Bronze and Copper Age. Really good stuff. There's a hilarious story in there about Mark Grunwald. I love it. So check that one out. I've also been dropping my reviews for the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I've been working on through those. Just did part 4s last night. Got a couple more to go. And I mean, other than that, I just have basically my comic cover of the week, which I need to do probably tomorrow. More music reviews. Roger, you still owe me a video choice, by the way.
I got it. I got it locked and loaded. I just haven't sent it to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, so more of that. I do have some more. Okay. Yeah, I still have some interviews lined up with some of the people. Kind of going hot and cold on it. Sometimes they get back to you. Sometimes they said yes, and then you'll hear from them for a couple of weeks. That's just the nature of the beast. So I'm still working to bring you all quality entertainment. So that's what's going on.
Nice.
Cool. There you have it, Mr. Miracle. We know you have reliably dropped those undervalued picks that everyone loves.
Yeah. I haven't
Any more?
done one for a while. I'll get on it. I'll do another one. But yeah, not much really going on other than that.
And if I could say on those videos is that Miracle is way ahead of the curve on these spec picks. He's not letting you know a book. Oh, I think this book might get hot next month or in a couple months based on what some shit that's happening on New Comic Book Day. He's giving you far out speculation picks that you're getting real early, which means the whole playlist, the whole catalog library of his undervalued picks has relevant replay value, even if they're a year old. That's how ahead of the game Miracle is. So if you haven't dug into his library, do that, because it's still great info and great picks in it.
Oh, Miracle Damas here.
Yeah, lots of times I like to pick a book, and I'll tell you, you probably have to sit on this book for a year or two, even, right? But it's going to happen.
Yep.
You might as well get it 2 years early when you're paying $5 for it than when it goes crazy and you're paying $100.
Right. Imagine if you had an Eternals 1 a couple of years ago and you got it at $2. $2.
Get it out of your head, right?
I picked one up for $2.
And you didn't keep it.
No, I do have the 30-cent variant one. But,
Ooh-wee.
but then now it's like I've seen them like go for like 3 figures. Like what?
That variant, yeah, that's a big book. Roger's sitting on a gold mine, is what he's saying, ladies and gentlemen. His whole collection.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Who needs a 401k when you got a Roger pedigree comic collection?
I wouldn't say that because my collection is mostly not in the highest grade because I read. Yes, guys, I read all my comics several times. Right? To me, they're worth a lot more, for what the pleasure I get out of them that way than the monetary value. I know I'm a man on an island, but that's just the way I roll.
And you roll like no other, bro. We love the way you roll. And how are you rolling in the near future on your channel? What can we expect from you, brother?
Well, I'm as everybody knows, I drop every Thursday the contest roundup, and usually I have some other little tidbits like people send me stuff like I got a really nice AOK, I got a contest win, I got trades going. I've got my hands in various factions here, shall we say? So that's always rolling my way, and I generally I do a video every Tuesday. I think I'm going to do it like every other Tuesday because my wife is working from home and I can't make a lot of noise, so I have to wait till she's like somewhere else, But I'm going to have everything ready so that when I have a half hour, I'm going to hit it, right? And that's pretty much all that's going on right now. I think I'm going to be on J Hood Creative's channel on Tuesday night.
Nice.
I think we're going to be doing a little kind of review of Crisis 7. I think it's this Tuesday. I have to check my calendar. And, Monday nights I'm on with Bub at the No Faces chat. Pray for me. But having a great time here on YouTube with, of course, these 3 fine gentlemen. Every fortnight, it's a celebration as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
absolutely. No Faces chat is must-see shows. And you and J Hood together, that's an interesting combo. I think you guys will jive well, so that'll be looking forward to that, man. And as far as this very channel that you're watching, that you're hopefully subscribed to, tomorrow night should be a pretty exciting night. You know what I'm saying? We got is that announced, Roger? Are we keeping that under the hat or anything?
Yeah, I'll keep it under the hat.
Just fireworks blowing off on the Comic Kid 84 channel. This mega power hour action, which is just a get together of me and Biggie Shaq in company usually, and like I said, tomorrow might be an extra. Let's just say it's an extra special edition of Power Hour night on the 84 channel. So you're gonna have to tune in to see what's cooking. Love to have you stop by. And that's it, man. We did it. Another one for the books. Had a great time.
All recorded.
Yep. Documented for posterity. Put it in the Library of Congress. And do you have a library? You don't have libraries of Congress in Canada, do you, Miracle?
No. We have a very similar thing, yes.
No, very poor documentation.
The Library of Congress.
They just flying by the seat of their pants up there.
Yeah, there's a library at the Parliamentary Building.
The Parliamentary Building.
Parliamentary Building. The Parliamentary Building.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys were British subjects, French subjects. You guys were.
That's a sore subject right there, Roger.
Yeah,
To 1760 something.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, can't hold it against Miracle personally, but
And they charged all those buildings with upraised snowshoes and friggin' took their country back. I love it.
Who was on that the Canadian coins though for like until maybe a few years ago? Wasn't that still on it? Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It's just like one of those symbols for us now. I don't know if like whoever succeeds her will make it onto our money, but I think it's just she's been queen for so long and she's been on our money for so long.
I figured it'd be like Gordon Lightfoot or something like that. But
Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon Lightfoot. Talk about a deep cut there. Most people don't know what the heck you're talking about.
I don't. Tell me.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Is that let me guess. A hockey player?
No.
You're thinking of Gordie Howe.
You never heard that song, the Edmund Fitzgerald?
He was in an X-Men movie. He what was it, the Quicksilver scene? Didn't he have a song in there?
I think so. Yeah.
Time in a Bottle. Yeah.
He was a musician, Kenny. Musician.
There we go.
Had some big hits.
Very big hits. Thinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald was huge.
Bear Islands.
So horrible.
John Candy should be on your money. I vote for that, man. John Candy on there.
Oh my gosh. Canadian Bacon. Classic movies. Yep.
Oh man. Great chat tonight. Real steady, stayed with us chat. Biggie, Bear Island, Better Ray, Jeff, Gore Vidal, great input tonight. All you guys, House to the End, Gray Man, stellar chat, man. It makes all the difference when you guys are hanging out and putting your grades in, so that is much appreciated. Let's just wrap it there. You know your homework. Find yourself time machine. What is it? Time warp.
Numero uno.
Boom. Enter the time warp again. Let's see if the copyright gods chill out for a minute. Maybe we'll come into some Rocky Horror soundtrack for the next episode. With the time warp.
I got 2 claims in my last video. Two different claims.
They've been putting it down hard lately. Anyway, all right, guys. Adios. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.
See you, chat.
Bye-bye.